Reproduction in human beings. Now, when we talk of reproduction in human beings, we have to understand that the process of reproduction in human beings is quite a complex process, and it involves the male and the female. Now, when a baby is born, the cells actually at that time are mainly, or all our body activities at that particular time are focused on the growth. The physical growth of the baby takes place, and as a result there is an overall increase in the height and increase in the size of the body organs. Gradually, when a child reaches a puberty, there are certain characters which we call them as secondary sexual characters, which develop in males differently and in females differently. So here there is a very clear picture of sexual dimorphism, and as a result during the adolescent age there are several changes which are now focused towards attaining the reproductive maturity. Now, when this reproductive maturity happens, there is also the formation of the male and the female gametes respectively in males and in females. So the male gamete will also be formed, and the female gamete will also be formed, and these are also known as the germ cells. So our body, we can say, up to a certain period it focuses on growth only, overall growth, and when certain suitable or optimum growth is achieved, then the body starts developing or tries to attain the sexual maturity, that is by the development of the secondary sexual characters. As now, after the person or after the human beings have achieved, that is the male and the female have achieved the sexual maturity, then there has to be fusion of these germ cells so as to bring about the reproduction. Now, this fertilization or reproduction results into the formation of zygote. Let us first study the male reproductive parts. When we talk of the male reproductive parts, the first important is the testis. Testis is an important reproductive part of male, and it serves two purposes. The germ cell formation takes place over here in the testis, and these germ cells are known as sperms in the case of human beings. The second important function which is performed by testis is to release a hormone which is known as testosterone, and this hormone helps in developing secondary sexual characters in male. So it helps in developing secondary sexual characters in the male. These are the two important functions which are performed by the testis. Now, these testes are actually placed outside the abdominal cavity within the scrotum. So the scrotum is a structure which encloses this testis. And why it is placed outside the abdominal cavity? Because the process of sperm formation requires lower temperature than the normal body temperature. So it has to be slightly lower, and therefore it is placed outside the abdominal cavity. The testes are placed outside the abdominal cavity. Now, the other important function, the other important organ is the vas deferens. So another important structure over here is the vas deferens. The vas deferens actually carries the sperms and they land onto the urinary bladder. So over here we can say from the testis the vas deferens carries the sperms and makes them reach the urinary bladder. Now over there the urethra forms a common passage for the urine and the sperms. So over from the vas deferens, this will reach, the sperms will reach to the urethra, and through the urethra it will be released out. So urethra forms common passage. It forms common passage for passing the urine as well as the sperms. Now as the sperms pass from the testis to the vas deferens to the urethra, there are two accessory glands. Accessory glands, and these accessory glands are, first is seminal vesicle and the second is prostrate gland. These two glands secrete certain substance and we call them as seminal secretions, and these seminal secretions are added to the sperms. As the sperms travel from the testis to the vas deferens to the urethra, the secretions of these two will be added over here to the vas deferens, and these secretions, that is the seminal secretions, plus semen plus sperms forms the semen, and it is this semen which is being discharged through the urethra, and the sperms are suspended or they are present within this seminal secretion. Now there are two functions of this seminal secretion. First thing is that they make the transport of the sperm very easy, and second important point is they provide nutrition to the sperms. So these seminal secretions perform two functions. First function is they provide easy movability to the sperms, and also they provide nutrition to the sperms. Sperms are tiny bodies actually, and if we see to the diagram of the sperm, they are having a head and a tail. The head carries the genetic material inside, and this is the tail that helps in moving. So this is known as the head, and this is the diagram of the sperm which enables it to move. The tail helps it to move towards the female germ cell. Talking about the male reproductive parts, we come to understand that the sperms are the male gametes which travel through the testes to the vas deferens and finally are passed on to the urethra, and which are ejaculated or discharged. Now let us talk about the female reproductive parts or the female reproductive system. When we talk of female reproductive system, the female reproductive system consists of two ovaries. So if we see the diagram over here, can see the structure over here if we these are the ovaries, a pair of ovary, and this is a very rough diagram I'm making, but try and understand. This is the oviduct or the fallopian tube. This portion is the uterus. This is vagina, and this is opening here, which is cervix. Okay. Now, the ovary over here is one of the important reproductive parts, and it has two important functions. First important function is it produces female germ cells or ova or egg. So the ovary produces the ova or the egg, and also it is responsible for the hormones estrogen and progesterone. These are the two hormones which are produced by the ovary apart from ova and egg. So ovary performs two important functions. It forms ova or egg, and it also releases female hormone, that is estrogen or and progesterone. Now what happens is when a girl is born, at that time itself there are several immature ova which are present within the ovary, and when the girl attains mature, that is the puberty or adolescent stage, out of the two ovaries, only one ovary will produce only or release one mature egg or ova. Now, ovary at a time will produce, one of the ovaries will produce a mature ova or egg. Now, this mature ova or egg travels through the thread, so ova is being released, which is carried through the fallopian tube or the oviduct over here, and finally it these two oviducts, there are two oviducts, these two oviducts open into the uterus. This is the cervix and this is the vagina. So what happens is the sperms enter over here, the sperms enter through the vagina, through the cervix, goes to the uterus, reaches over here and fuses with the egg. So the fusion or the fertilization happens within the oviduct or the fallopian tube. Now after the fertilization has happened, the ova or the zygote, after the fertilization, the zygote then moves towards the uterus, gets implanted over here within the uterus, and then the development of the baby takes place over here. Now the uterus actually what happens is, after a girl has attained puberty or adolescent, that when the eggs start becoming mature one every month, then every month the uterus prepares itself to receive the embryo. Now, what is the preparation? That is, the uterus lining becomes thick. The lining of the uterus will become very thick. Also, it will be richly supplied with the blood capillaries to nourish the embryo which will be coming over there. Now, the embryo which, if the fertilization happens, there are two cases, if the fertilization happens and if the fertilization does not happen. We are talking when the fertilization is happening. So when the fertilization is happening, the embryo gets settled in the uterus, and this process is known as implantation. Now once the embryo settles in the uterus, the embryo has to get the nutrition for its growing up. So the embryo gets the nutrition from the mother's blood with the help of placenta. And placenta are actually placenta or disc which is embedded, which is present within the uterus lining. So this is the uterus, and this is the lining of the uterus where placenta is present. And these disc which is embedded within the uterine wall, and it has villi. Villi are finger-like projections. So these villi surround the embryo, and on the mother's side will be the blood spaces. So what happens is, the villi will be surrounding the embryo, and this provides the increased surface. The villi provide a larger surface area for the exchange of material between the embryo, that is the developing embryo, and the mother. Also, the waste which is being produced due to the metabolic activity of the embryo will be removed with the help of this placenta. So the placenta is performing important function. Firstly, it helps in providing nutrition to the developing embryo. The gaseous exchange is also possible. Also, it helps in the removal of the waste which is being produced by the embryo, and as a result, the baby continuously, that is the embryo, continuously grows, multiplies and divides to form a baby inside the womb. And the development of the child, in the case of human beings, it takes approximately 9 months to develop as a fully grown baby, and after the growth has been achieved, the child is born. Now, this is the condition we are talking of when the fertilization is happening. Now, if the fertilization does not happen, what will be the fate? Now, when the fertilization does not happen, the thick uterus lining is not receiving the embryo, then it is a waste. So this uterus lining, along with the blood capillaries, is shed out along with the ova also, and this lining ruptures and breaks up, and this is comes out through the vagina. This is known as menstruation, and the menstruation period lasts for about 2 to 6 days. So if the fertilization does not happen, then the menstruation will happen, but if the fertilization happens, then the pregnancy will take place.